And with me now is the Israeli ambassador to the UK, Tzipi Hotovely. Thank you very much for being with us. Well, let's just pick up on what Hussam Zomlot was saying about what the hostage families are saying. And I just want to read you a quote, if you don't mind, what the hostage families group have said about this latest wave of airstrikes in Gaza. The Israeli government has chosen to abandon the hostages. We are shocked, outraged, deeply concerned by the deliberate destruction of the process of bringing back our loved ones. That is what the hostage families are saying. What's your answer to that?
Well, my heart goes to every hostage that is still in Gaza. We have 59 innocent people. Some of them are alive, some of them are dead. And I want to tell them one very, very clear thing. The Israeli government is doing so much to release them. Israel agreed to a ceasefire. Israel agreed to, release the most, the most dangerous terrorists from our jails, just to make sure the ceasefire will bring their loved ones back home. But in the end of the day, in the last 14 days, we didn't get any hostage back. And it's not going to happen if we're just going to sit there and do nothing.
But does war bring back the hostages?
As a matter of a fact, yes. Only when Hamas is under pressure, we see them releasing our people. We saw that every time that Hamas failed, there is no pressure. We saw for months there was any progress in the negotiation for the hostage deal. So even though that Israel is very much committed to bring back our hostages, it's clear it's not going to be happening just from, doing nothing. And I think that Britain would have done the same thing, the UK would have done the same thing if they had 59 people. And in the end of the day, it's a terror organization. This is not nice people that, have a nice cup of tea and say, excuse me, sorry, and thank you. Those are horrific terrorists that committed the worst crimes. And I just came back from Parliament. I was sharing with you that Professor Andrew Roberts was launching his parliamentary report about the 7th of October barbaric attack. And there were so many horrific actions that were made by Hamas, and they're planning to do that again. And this is why Israel was acting yesterday.
But let me just ask you about the ceasefire agreement, because Hamas says it has stuck to the terms of the ceasefire agreement. The ceasefire agreement had reached the end of phase 1. It was moving into phase 2, which was effectively ending the war in Gaza. And that's why your government has decided to resume military action.
This is a complete lie, because what really was happening was the Americans were putting a proposal on the table that American envoy Witkoff was saying it very clearly that if Hamas wants to see Israel continues to be part of a deal of a ceasefire, they must release more hostages, and they didn't. So it was Hamas breaching the agreement. It's clear, totally clear to anyone that understands what a terror organization is all about. They were rearming and regrouping, using the time of the ceasefire to loot all this humanitarian aid being given to them during the ceasefire. We are today in a point where Hamas controls the Gaza Strip. This is not what we aimed when we went into this war after 7th of October happened. It's clear for Israelis, for the UK government, for the US government, it's clear for everyone that Hamas shouldn't control the Gaza Strip after this war is over.
But you will know,
this is the reason why all those problems are happening.
You will know what a lot of people around the world and inside Israel itself say, which is that your Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu, is continuing the war. He doesn't really want peace. He wants to continue the war because he wants to stay in office, because he doesn't want all the recriminations, all the inquiries, the investigations into his failures and his government's failures that allowed the October the 7th attacks to happen.
Well, the October 7th is something that needs to be investigated, and we're very good doing that. But if you ask me what Israeli people want, they want one thing: security. They want to be back to their homes without having this fear that barbaric terrorists will invade their homes, kill their children, or kidnap their loved ones. This is what happened. And we don't want to go back there. And in order to achieve that, everyone in Israel, the government and the opposition, agrees that Hamas shouldn't control the Gaza Strip. This is one thing. We have a total consensus between Israel, between the international community. Everyone understands that this barbaric terror organization cannot control the Palestinians in Gaza.
Well, speaking of the international community, the British Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, who you know, obviously, has said that the Israeli blockade of Gaza in terms of aid is a breach of international law.
First of all, I'm very happy that Number 10 clarified that, and they said there is no change about their policy about Israel. But going back to
But that's what the Foreign Secretary said. What's your comment on that?
So Israel is very much committed to the international humanitarian law, and there is one thing that everyone should know. The international aid that Israel was giving during the ceasefire, 25,000 trucks that got into Gaza, got a lot of supply. But having said that, there was another process that started happening, which is looting all this aid and making it as a trade. They were actually creating a whole system, a mechanism of becoming wealthy again as a terror organization from this aid. They are selling it, they are trading it. This is something that is unacceptable according to international law. According to international law, when you have a terror organization using humanitarian aid as part of the war machine, Israel doesn't need to supply the war machine. I think it makes sense, and this is what we're doing now. We're making sure that Hamas won't be there to take over the humanitarian aid.
Okay. Tzipi Hotovely, the Israeli ambassador to the UK, thank you very much for coming into the studio.
Thank you very much.